Another warning, be careful when off-roading because recently a Tesla Cybertruck got stuck while driving on a California beach. Up next, a warning for all the Tesla owners out there. Everyone hates you. Also, this despite the truck being touted on Tesla's website as apocalypse-proof. Reminds me of that famous post-apocalyptic movie, Mad Max Fury, Oh No Sam!
Elon Musk's self-driving dreams are hitting a speed bump, and Colbert isn't holding back. Millions spent on Tesla's autonomous tech, only to struggle with basic road signs? If this sounds unbelievable, wait till you hear how Musk's memes compared to the lawsuits piling up. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Imagine dropping thousands of dollars on a self-driving car that gets confused by something as simple as a stop sign. Feels like the setup to a late night monologue, doesn't it? But nope, it's very real. And Tesla's full self-driving feature continues to act more like a comedy sketch than revolutionary tech.
Well, we now have video of the moment that a Tesla in self-driving mode started braking unexpectedly on the Bay Bridge, causing 8 cars to pile up.
New video of a dramatic crash on the Bay Bridge. A Tesla, believed to be on autopilot, started braking, causing an 8-car pileup on Thanksgiving. A white Tesla put on its left blinker, moves into the left lane, and stops, causing the car behind it to crash into it, followed by 6 more cars.
National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has been investigating phantom braking incidents on Teslas for quite some time. And as it turns out, when we saw the video the other day, that looks like exactly what happened.
The promise sounded amazing at first. Elon Musk touted self-driving cars as the future, claiming they'd transform transportation forever. Point A to point B without lifting a finger. That's the dream, right? Well, the reality? Let's just say the dream has become a bit of a punchline. Tesla's full self-driving is technically still a beta product, which is a fancy way of saying not ready for prime time. But that hasn't stopped Musk from charging customers upwards of $15,000 for it. People expected to feel like they were living in the year 2050, but instead they're frustrated with software that doesn't seem to know the basics of driving today.
I find it interesting that there's a growing trend of Cybertrucks being vandalized and used as skate ramps or covered in garbage. That has led a lot of protests around the country at Tesla dealerships. Now, I want to be clear. I do not condone violence or vandalism of any kind. That is a deeply held belief of mine that comes from the bottom of my CBS legal department. To be fair, that might not be vandalism. That might just be a simple mistake because they do look a lot like a dumpster.
Lawsuits over accidents linked to the system are piling up. Delays and updates keep coming, and the entire thing feels more waiting for Godot than groundbreaking innovation. Even Jimmy Kimmel is in on the fun, joking. Tesla's self-driving software is so bad, it might need a seeing eye dog. That one probably stings, but let's face it, Kimmel's not wrong. The issues aren't just minor glitches either. We're talking about a car that sometimes struggles to distinguish moving pedestrians from static objects or recognize stoplights. There have been reported cases of Teslas mistaking the moon for a yellow traffic signal, leading to sudden, unnecessary braking. One user even claimed their Tesla tried to drive into oncoming traffic during a left turn, an error Musk surely didn't include in the original marketing pitch. These aren't just bugs.
Tesla owners are facing backlash everywhere they go. Tesla CEO and guest of the White Lotus undressing that corpse with his eyes, Elon Musk. Somebody stole the wheels from every single Tesla in a Texas parking lot. Whoever did it, I do not condone this, but I do appreciate your tireless effort.
They're dangerous, and they've tested the patience of even Tesla's most loyal fans. What makes the whole thing even more ironic is Musk's own behavior. While all of this is going down, instead of addressing customer concerns with a little humility, he's often found tweeting out memes or hyping up unrelated projects like Twitter, Neuralink, or whatever future trillion-dollar venture he's brainstorming. Meanwhile, his customers sit behind the wheel, faintly regretting that $15,000 splurge every time their car jerks to a stop because because it thinks a shadow on the road is an obstacle. The fallout has been anything but subtle. Consumer advocates question whether the full self-driving title is misleading. After all, the car isn't anywhere near true autonomy. It still requires constant driver oversight. Stephen Colbert hilariously summed it up best. It's like buying a dog that expects you to bark. You'd think if you bought a product with the words self-driving in the title, you wouldn't have to keep your hands glued to the wheel and your attention glued to the road. In reality, it's less self-driving and more partially assisted driving with a chance of chaos. But Musk seems undeterred, continuing to sell the dream even as cracks in the foundation grow clearer. And really, it does make you wonder, at what point does the hype catch up to the harsh realities of tech? Tesla users argue endlessly online about whether the full self-driving software is overhyped or worse, oversold. Some early adopters defend it, claiming the technology will improve with time, but even they seem to be tiring of delays that make it hard to trust any deadlines Musk announces. Now, to be fair, not everyone feels duped. Some owners recognize they're investing in future development, assuming one day this tech will become what Musk keeps promising. That optimism, however, still feels like wishful thinking when they're navigating bugs as basic as the car occasionally ignoring "do not enter" signs. And they're growing increasingly at odds with the sarcasm flying in late-night commentary. Comedians like Kimmel and Colbert see through the excuses and aren't letting up. They see Tesla's full self-driving system not as a groundbreaking achievement, but as an ongoing joke, an overpromised feature that's barely keeping itself between the metaphorical lines. But this isn't just about disappointment or the humor behind technological shortcomings. There's a real question here. What happens to a groundbreaking promise when people lose faith in the product delivering it? Musk is no stranger to over-the-top claims. He famously said Teslas would be fully autonomous by 2020. Now, 3 years later, many wonder if it'll even happen by 2030. His timeline keeps slipping, but his boldness in making promises, that never wavers. And speaking of bold promises that feel increasingly underwhelming, this isn't Musk's only misstep. Overpromising seems almost like a theme of his career. While customers are frustrated with self-driving Teslas, Musk has been keeping himself occupied in other areas, like his now infamous acquisition of Twitter. A platform once pitched as the world's gathering place for free speech has been described as a flaming raccoon circus under Musk's watch. Colbert have brilliantly captured this chaos by comparing Musk's management to a Reddit thread gone rogue. Decisions seem reactive and impulsive, mirroring the kind of knee-jerk arguments you'd expect in the comment section of a meme post, not from the brain behind a multi-billion-dollar company. But hey, at least Musk does like a good meme, right? Looming over all of this is the original promise Musk made to keep Twitter, or X, a bastion of free expression. Yet, the platform now sees countless allegations of suppressing voices and censoring content. Musk himself has blocked journalists who criticize him, actions that feel miles away from the principles of free speech he once championed. It's a story so ironic you almost don't need the punchline. And while Twitter might be the most visible wreckage in Musk's empire, it's certainly not the only venture in his portfolio with a story of overpromises and underdeliveries. Tesla deals with lawsuits over self-driving cars, and whispers about Neuralink's ambitious brain chip goals feel increasingly shaky. But before we dive back into futuristic tech letdowns, there's one other project we've got to address. If Twitter's chaos looks like a raccoon circus, what on earth do we call Musk's boring company Tunnels? Turns out, speeding underground might not look as high-tech as Musk made it sound. Let's head there next. High-speed underground travel, more like sitting in traffic, but deeper. Elon Musk's Boring Company was pitched as a revolution in urban transportation. No more congestion, no more endless honking. Instead, we'd all be zipping through futuristic tunnels at breathtaking speeds, finally free from the nightmare of rush hour traffic. That was the pitch. The reality? Well, it's a bit less science fiction, a bit more awkward Uber ride in a sewer. Instead of a sleek, high-speed miracle, we got slow-moving Tesla cars politely crawling through a narrow tunnel. Colbert nailed it when he said, "It's not a tunnel, it's a really sad subway." It's hard to blame people for feeling a little, a lot underwhelmed by this innovation. Musk's vision for the Boring Company sounded almost too good to be true in the first place, which usually means it is. By digging tunnels beneath cities, Musk claimed he'd transform urban infrastructure. Traffic jams? A relic of the past. But instead of making transportation faster, the tunnels feel more like expensive photo ops for Tesla cars to get stuck underground. There's no Hyperloop-style vacuum system, no rapid transit cars zooming at unimaginable unimaginable speeds, just Teslas driving slowly enough to let a pedestrian outrun them. A prime example of this underperformance is the Las Vegas Loop, Musk's most hyped Boring Company project. This was supposed to be the crown jewel, a high-speed, game-changing transit system shuttling passengers across Sin City. But if you're imagining some cutting-edge feat of engineering, dial back your expectations. What passengers are actually getting is a glorified driveway where Teslas creep along at roughly the same speed as a golf cart. Congestion, the very thing the loop was built to solve, still happens, only now it's happening underground. There have been reports of traffic backups in the tunnels themselves, proving you can in fact have a traffic jam both horizontally and vertically. The idea that multi-million-dollar investment resulted in something this bland hasn't gone unnoticed. Late-night comedians naturally have been loving it. Colbert called the tunnels hyper lame, managing to capture the collective disappointment in just 2 words. Meanwhile, calling it out in his trademark style, Kimmel quipped that the Boring Company is proof that even billionaires can dig themselves into a hole. And honestly, when you look at the current state of Musk's tunnels, it's hard to argue with that assessment. It's not just the comedians who are skeptical though. Experts have criticized the Boring Company for creating a solution that doesn't actually address the traffic problem Musk claimed to solve. High-speed underground transportation should, in theory, reduce the number of cars on the road by moving passengers through efficient mass transport systems. But Musk's version of efficiency relies on individual cars that require a driver, making it feel less like a congestion cure and more like a high-tech rebranding of carpooling. For a man whose goal was to reinvent urban travel, the actual product seems stuck in neutral. The criticism isn't just about speed or hype versus reality. There's also the question of whether the technology can scale. Part of the Boring Company's promise was that these tunnels would eventually expand to form intricate networks crisscrossing major cities. Just picture it, a futuristic underground highway system, seamlessly weaving through densely populated urban centers. Ambitious? Absolutely. Doable? At this point, it's looking questionable. The technological hurdles and logistical nightmares of making such a system work are enormous, meaning the dream of tunnel solving traffic anytime soon might stay just that, a dream. And here's the kicker, this project has already cost millions of dollars. For that kind of money, you'd think we'd get something revolutionary. Instead, Musk delivered underwhelming prototypes that feel like overpriced publicity stunts. The Las Vegas Loop alone has drawn heavy criticism for being both impractical and inefficient. A system built to fight congestion is somehow surviving on novelty rather than necessity, leaving anyone who expected true innovation feeling a little misled. Now, here's where it gets more interesting, or depending on your perspective, more depressing. The Boring Company's underwhelming debut isn't even a unique case for Musk. This pattern of overpromising and underdelivering seems to follow him across all of his ventures. Neuralink, for example, wants to put chips in people's brains to bridge the gap between humans and artificial intelligence. It's a bold idea, one that feels so futuristic it could be straight out of a sci-fi movie, but after years of promises and messy updates, critics are starting to wonder if Neuralink will go the way of the boring tunnels. And let's not forget Musk's long-dead Hyperloop concept, another flashy idea that's been nothing more than smoke and mirrors for over a decade. What's fascinating, though, is how much faith people continue to put in Musk's ideas. Despite all the setbacks, delays, and scaled-back ambitions, his name still carries weight for many. The man knows how to sell a vision, even if the reality of that vision ends up being itself a bit boring. You can argue all day about whether Musk genuinely believes in his projects or is just masterfully riding the hype train all the way to the bank. Either way, the disconnect between his promises and the actual progress feels like the real theme here. Kimmel's parting assessment really ties it together. Musk digging these tunnels isn't proof of innovation. It's proof that billionaires can, in fact, dig themselves a hole, sometimes literally. These grand ideas always start out sounding incredible, futuristic, like they're on the brink of reshaping the world. But what happens when the vision doesn't match the output? Again and again, across Tesla, Twitter, and now tunnels, Musk seems to leave us with the same question. Does the hype ever catch up with the product? And speaking of hype, the Boring Company feels like a sneak preview of what could be in store for Musk's bigger, more audacious ideas. When you look at his track record of ambitious promises falling short, it's hard not to feel like we've seen this movie before. So what is it about Musk's ventures that keeps following this same pattern? From brain chips to self-driving cars, you start to wonder, will any of it live up to the dream? Let's dig into that next. Elon Musk's ventures all follow the same playbook. Make a massive promise, rake in the attention and cash, and then deliver something that's, well, Not quite what anyone expected. From Tesla's self-driving stumbles to Twitter's raccoon circus rebranding, Colbert and Kimmel have hilariously dragged Musk's habit of prioritizing hype over results. A pattern has emerged, where the bold vision is far bigger than the outcome, and the punchlines practically write themselves. So next time a billionaire pitches you the future of humanity, remember, they might just be digging a hole. What's Musk's next move? And how long before it's roasted?